At least 6 dead as a passenger train derails in Andhra Pradesh. 15 are injured and 2 are still feared trapped. The train collision leaves several hurt near Visakhapatnam. The Chief Minister now says aid is rushed to the spot. Meanwhile, rescue operations are still underway. The Prime Minister dials Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw on the Andhra train collision. Sources tell NDTV a human error is likely to have caused the Andhra train mishap. The train driver did not notice the signal, is what sources have told NDTV. Meanwhile, in tragic news, 2 people have died and over 50 injured in the serial blasts in Kerala. Multiple blasts at a prayer meeting in Kochi reported. The stringent anti-terror law UAPA has been invoked in the serial blasts case. This is a 48-year-old now claims responsibility and surrenders before the police. And in the Kerala case, the Chief Minister calls for an all-party meeting. Meanwhile, the BJP takes a swipe at the Pinarayi Vijayan government, says Kerala is paying the price of appeasement politics. Chief Minister Vijayan responds, he says the BJP minister is spewing poison. And Battleground, Gaza, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warns of a long and difficult war ahead. This as Hamas says we'll free hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. But the big question now, will the war turn into a regional conflict? This is Israel's Gaza incursion now a turning point in the war. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. I am Vedant Agarwal. Our top story, well, 6 people have died and several others are feared injured as 2 passenger trains collided. And as per preliminary information, it was a passenger train that hit a stationary train, which is what caused this absolutely deadly mishap there. Now, the passenger train was going from Visakhapatnam to Raigad, and that had a rear end collision with another passenger train, which was reportedly stationary. 3 coaches of one of the trains have actually derailed and rescue operations are underway. In fact, the Prime Minister has also spoken to the Railway Minister, who has in turn spoken to the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh. This is what sources have told NDTV. And now what we are getting to know is that the initial cause of the accident has also been ascertained. It was a human error, and Vasudha Venugopal is now live with us on the phone line. So Vasudha, what you are breaking at this hour is that, the initial reports suggest that it was a human error that caused the accident. Of course, it is a matter of investigation, but what you are reporting is that the train driver, the loco pilot, missed the signal.
Absolutely, Vedant. So clearly the Railway Ministry has gotten into action. This is a serious accident because there are two trains involved. One was going to Palasa from Vizag and the other one was going to Raigad from Vizag. So of course, this happened due to the rear end collision, like you were also mentioning. What we understand, the room that's operating from the railway board here, and what we understand from our sources is that this is a human error. The loco pilot did not notice the signal. So, of course, there are times when people, the drivers also get very tired. So these things have happened in the past also. So there was not a technical glitch. There was not a problem with any of the systems, but there was a problem. I mean, it was a human error, which is understandable. And what we understand right now is basically 6 people are confirmed dead and over 15 are injured. And of course, that number is going to go up. The Prime Minister has already spoken to the Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw, and Mr. Vaishnaw has also Jagmohan Reddy. And what we understand is that all this war room is going to operate. The minister is right there, so he's monitoring the situation. The ex gratia has been, the process of distribution has begun. What is important is 2 people continue to be trapped in the 3 coaches which have been affected. Those coaches have been removed, but the process of evacuation has begun, and are told that every possible attempt is being made to rescue the 2 people who are still trapped, and that would happen soon. The attempt right now is to ensure that state and the centre work on the same page, and there is a lot of expedition of the relief work that happens, and that is why the minister, I'm told, is constantly in touch with the state government officials. That is happening.
Right, Vasudha, thanks so much for joining us with all those details. Of course, the cause of the incident will be ascertained, but right now the focus is on the restoration of tracks and, of course, rescue operations. And moving now to the other big headline, 2 women died and over 50 others were injured in serial blasts that rocked Kochi. In fact, 3 back-to-back blasts were reported at a convention centre where a prayer meeting was organised by a Christian group in Kochi. And now a 48-year-old man has surrendered. In fact, the stringent anti-terror law UAPA has been invoked as well. Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan has also spoken on the blast. He says a special probe team will be formed and will be led by a senior police official. The NIA or the anti-terror agency is also likely to take over the probe. My colleague Pratibha Raman is at the spot and she sent us this report. What are you seeing on the ground? Because these blasts have really shocked the entire nation. Multiple blasts at that prayer meeting. What is the situation on the ground?
Well, in fact, as we speak, I'm here stationed right outside the convention center, the blast site, and the NSG team is already here, and a thorough investigation is on at this point in time at the site of the blast, and multiple agencies are involved, including the NIA that is conducting the investigation at this point in time. Now, a two-pronged approach has been undertaken by these agencies. One, the timing of the blast, especially this comes a little after a day or two of the rally that was organized by a special group expressing solidarity with the Palestinians, and that particular rally was also addressed by a Hamas leader at that point in time. And number two is, like you mentioned, a person who has come forward reportedly confessing to this, and a video that has also been doing the rounds as we speak, which also claims of Dominic claiming that he has allegedly taken this drastic step, almost believing that he does not really confer with the kind of values that are being inculcated or that are being believed by this particular religious gathering that is the Jehovah Witnesses group. And these two approaches are being investigated by the police, the special team that has been organized by Pinarayi Vijayan. And Pinarayi Vijayan in the meantime has also called for an all-party meet tomorrow. Now, with respect to this investigation, an FIR has also surfaced, an FIR that has been registered by the police, where both the UAPA as well as the Explosives Act have been invoked. So at this point in time, nothing can be ascertained until the investigation is thoroughly complete. And this is what we hear from police sources. More details would be awaited once the investigation is complete.
Absolutely, Pratibha, and also larger questions on perhaps intelligence failure and a security lapse also being raised as far as the Kerala government is concerned. So the ball is really in the Kerala government's court now, with that all-party meeting also being called. But how is the investigation going to go forward as far as the terror link is concerned? Because that is yet to be established.
That's right. The FIR has been the first step that has been taken forward by the police, and whether the case would be handed over to the NIA is also something that the police, the investigation team of the Kerala police is now looking at. But nothing really can be ascertained at this point in time. More details would emerge once the investigation is complete with the multiple agencies that are in talks at this point in time, right at this convention center. More details perhaps tomorrow.
So many unanswered questions there. But moving now to the big political headline, well, the BJP is piling on charges on TMC MP Mahua Moitra in the Cash for Questions case. In fact, BJP national spokesperson Shehzad Poonawalla launched a scathing attack alleging that Mahua Moitra is trying to hoodwink the public in her interviews. BJP MP Nishikant Dubey also said that Mahua Moitra needs to come clean. Well, Mahua Moitra has hit back and she says that the BJP is shifting goalposts from Cash for Questions to national security. Meanwhile, now there are two statements of Mahua Moitra out in the public domain. One as per her interviews and one her plea in the High Court. Vasudha Venugopal has more details.
While TMC MP Mahua Moitra, who is at the center of this Cash for Queries scam controversy, has been giving TV interviews in the last 2 days, alleging that she is basically a victim of a hit job, and she has basically denied a lot of these allegations, basically of taking cash for asking questions. She has also admitted to some of them, especially of sharing login credentials with industrialist Darshan Hiranandani, and also taking some gifts from him, which include some makeup items, and also letting him arrange her travel when she's in Mumbai. Now, This, of course, has been termed problematic by many experts and lawyers who have pointed to an existing defamation case that is filed against Mr. Jay Anand Dehadrai. Mr. Dehadrai is the lawyer who basically brought out this complaint against her, and he has also gone to the CBI with it, and also against Mr. Nishikant Dubey, a BJP MP who was the first to flag this complaint to the Ethics Committee. Now, Mahua Moitra is fighting a defamation case against Mr. Dubey and Mr. Dehadrai, and in her defamation case, in her petition at the Delhi High Court, she has denied all the allegations that have been raised by these two people, and she has refuted all the allegations of sharing her login credentials with Mr. Darshan Hiranandani, and also taking any sort of gifts from him. Now, of course, she has admitted to parts of it in her interviews, which is what lawyers and experts say amounts to lying in the court document, which is why they feel that there could be some action against her. What we hear from our sources is that there could also be a case for perjury and a separate case moved against her for attempting to lie in the court or lying in a court document. That will be, of course, seen on October 31st when the case comes for hearing. Remember, on October 21st, when the case was being heard for the first time, there was a lot of drama in the Delhi High Court because the judge had publicly reprimanded Ms. Moitra's counsel for trying to negotiate with Mr. Dehadrai for a settlement without disclosing that he was the lawyer for Ms. Moitra, and after which the lawyer had basically withdrawn from the case. So it remains to be seen on October 31st what the court decides on this matter.
And well, the latest on Battleground, Gaza, well, Prime Minister Netanyahu has said that the war has entered its second phase and that it's going to be a long and difficult war ahead. This is on the ground. Israel is ramping up its ground operations and its presence, and a full-blown invasion is now inevitable. But what really are the challenges as far as the peace solution is concerned? Well, the hostage challenge is a big one, and now Hamas has said that they're ready to free hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. Why is it such a complex challenge, and how is Israel pushing Hamas to release hostages? Mohammad Ghazali breaks it down for us.
To more than 220 hostages who are there in Hamas's captivity in Gaza Strip. The first option, which looked very favorable for US, Hamas, Israel and everyone else, was the diplomatic negotiations, or what we call mediation. Qatar, one of the Middle Eastern countries, has played this role even in the past, and even in this crisis it played its role, which led to the release of 4 hostages by Hamas. But after that there has been no progress as far as hostages are concerned. The second was an offer made by Hamas, which was called hostage for ceasefire. Israel has an ethos of never leaving anyone behind, dead or alive. Hamas offered release of hostages in exchange of a ceasefire, but Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has already declared a war against Hamas, may not give any reprieve to Hamas. Now, the third major concern is the safety of hostages. For any negotiations to proceed, Hamas will have to ensure the safety of hostages. And though Hamas has been claiming that many hostages have been killed in the aerial bombardment or invasion by Israel, none of the Western agencies or agencies of Israel have confirmed any such reports. So it is being believed that all the hostages are safe and alive in the captivity of Hamas. The most important part is that how long Hamas can hold the hostages. We have seen that to gather a lot of diplomatic support or international support or sympathy, Hamas may have released 4 hostages, but that was just intended to gain more sympathy and support from international community. But can Hamas afford to keep these hostages for a long period? That can't be ruled out, because we have seen that how Hamas had kept one Israeli soldier for 5 years and later released him in exchange of more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners who were kept in Israel's prison. So this is also a big challenge. Another big challenge is that if Israel goes into Gaza, and which it already has, the military operation may jeopardize the safety of these hostages, which is a big concern not only for Israel but also for the relatives and the loved ones of those who are there in Israel, who are every day praying that Israel somehow manages to get these hostages back.
And well, as the war on the ground only intensifies, the big question now is, has diplomacy failed? And has this war actually divided the world to an extent and scale that we have not seen before? Because now we see an increasing anti-West sentiment in the Arab world and a greater divide on a global scale as well. Mohammad Ghazali explains how this particular war has exposed the fault lines in global diplomacy.
The Israel-Hamas war has certainly polarized the world, and in this segment we explain that which countries are supporting Israel or which are the countries which are openly extending its support for Hamas. So the first list of countries are what we call the Western camp, or those countries like America and Europe which firmly support the Israel's right to defend itself. They are notably hesitant to criticize Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, aligning themselves closely with Israel's stance. Then comes the neutral observers, countries like India, which condemns the Hamas attack but also advocates for Palestinian rights and a two-state solution. These countries aim to strike a balance between acknowledging the security concerns of Israel and the aspirations of Palestinians for a statehood. Then there is a third category of countries which is extending its full support to Hamas, and there has been widespread protest in these countries against Israel's invasion in the Gaza Strip. Now, countries like Turkey, Egypt, Algeria, and numerous Muslim nations, or the Muslim majority nations, they have refused to condemn Hamas, and instead they're concentrating on highlighting the plight of Palestinians in Gaza Strip. Then there is United Nations. Multiple United Nations Security Council resolutions related to the war have failed to pass or have been either vetoed by the United States or Russia and China. The UN General Assembly has overwhelmingly called for immediate, durable and sustainable humanitarian truce between Israel and Hamas, and ensure that there is unhindered aid access to the Gaza residents in the Gaza Strip.